Hello guys, welcome to another virtual biology lesson. Today we're going to talk about the things that can go wrong with our vision and our hearing. And basically, as we are just a bunch of very complicated systems, then many things can go wrong. And for the beginning, let's start with defects of vision. Po polsku to są wady wzroku. And guys, an eye with a correct construction is able to refract light in a way it will focus on the retina. And the retina, I'm reminding you, is the inner membrane of an eye that contains sensory cells. Those cells are able to translate the physical stimuli from the surroundings. In this case, it's basically the light, the wavelength of certain things that are coming into our eyes, and then they translate it into an electric impulse, nervous impulse, and this is sent to the brain. However, sometimes this doesn't happen. The focus is either before or behind the retina, and those conditions are called myopia or hyperopia. And here you have diagrams of those. Myopia, czyli po polsku krótkowzroczność, and hyperopia, which is dalekowzroczność. And guys, in myopia, you can clearly see items that are close to you, but the further ones are blurred. And this is the case in here. So you can see that the rays of light are entering the eye, they are going through pupil, but they focus just before the retina. So you can see things that are close to you clearly. Close to you equals okay. Further equals blurry. In case of hyperopia, is totally the opposite. So the rays of light are being focused behind the retina, so you can clearly see items that are far away from you, but you cannot see clearly and sharply items that are close to you. Both of those conditions are caused by the lens not being able to stretch enough, so they could create that more convex or more concave shape of the lens. So we need to correct it with either contact lenses or glasses. And in case of myopia, a concave lens is needed. So you can see here the corrected version, and we have the lens that has a concave shape. What it will do, it will stretch, it will refract the way a little bit, and the light, it will refract the light a little bit wider. So once it enters the eyeball, once it goes through the lens, it will focus exactly on the retina. When you have glasses like this, when you have myopia, they will have that shape, and their strength will be measured in negative diopters, ujemne dioptria. So when the doctor will prescribe you glasses, on the document they will write down something like this: power example minus 0.75. or power minus 2.0. Uh, the closer the number is to 0, the better you can see. So if you have glasses minus 0.25, then it means that your defect of vision is really small. But when you have power minus 6, that means that basically you are not capable of functioning without your glasses. When you have hyperopia, sometimes it's called also foresight, then you will need a glasses that have more convex shape. So they will focus it a little bit more before they enter your eyeball, and the it will make the focus fall exactly on the retina. And those glasses, their power is measured in positive diopters. And guys, once again, the closer the number is to 0, the smaller your defect of vision is. Basically, if you have power plus 6 diopters, that means you are not capable of functioning without the glasses on. But there is also something that can go wrong. So sometimes the focus light isn't focused in a single point of retina, but a certain object is projected more like a line. So it looks like this. Usually, when you have a dot and you see it, it will go through the lens in your eye and it will be projected on the retina. This will be retina as a point. Everything is alright. But in some cases, the same point will be projected as a line. So it will be stretched a little bit in one of the axes. And this condition is called astigmatism. And astigmatism happens when you see a point and it appears to be a little blurry, and sometimes the vision is more like this, sometimes it's more like this, sometimes it's more like this. It depends on your defect. And guys, that or disorder needs a correction with special cylindrical lenses. And cylindrical lenses are described by two parameters. So we can have power, the same case as in the previous ones, but also it describes axis. So this is my case. I use those glasses and contact lenses with power minus 0.25. That means that I have myopia, so I can clearly see things that are close to me, but further objects appear a little bit blurry. And also there is this axis, which is 170 degrees. It can differ. Many people will have different values. Some will have axis 10 degrees, some will have axis 180 degrees, depending on how your eye is defected. And not all of us have astigmatism, but people that are touched by astigmatism, they might have, in some extreme cases, problems with drawing a straight line, because what will appear straight to them will not objectively be straight. There is also, so guys, we have already talked about 3 diseases. Maybe not diseases, just disorders: myopia, hyperopia, and astigmatism. Then we might have something that is called a squint. Po polsku, zes. And a squint happens when muscles responsible for eye movement are too weak. So basically, it might appear uh, to people outside that one eye is looking in a certain direction and the other in a totally different direction. This is a huge problem because, as you know, we have two eyes, and the pictures from two eyes are being just melted in together by our brain. When the squint is really big, then both of pictures captured by both of those eyes, they basically don't cover up. So the brain has no way of melding them together. This case can be cured by either working out those muscles. So basically, you have a set of very special workouts for your eyes, or in most extreme cases, you need a surgery. There is also another disorder, and it's color blindness, daltonism. And basically, daltonism or color blindness is a genetic disease. Happens mostly to men due to the fact that it's carried by certain genes, and its symptom is inability to distinguish some colors. In most cases, it's red and green. So basically, people touched by color blindness, they cannot distinguish some colors. They cannot tell whether it's green or red or blue. And guys, if you want to check yourself, there are on page 204 special tables that you can check whether you are colorblind or not. They work like this. We have dots, which are in different colors. If you are able to tell what number, usually they are numbers, what number is drawn in one of those, then basically you're not colorblind. If it appears totally the same for you, that means that you might be touched by a certain kind of color blindness. And guys, let's talk about good practices that are worthy just doing in order to protect your vision. First of all, wear glasses with UV filter. UV light is really harmful. UV light, especially some parts of the spectrum of UV light, are being used to disinfect spaces. Fortunately, thanks to the atmosphere, to the properties of the atmosphere, most of the mostly harmful UV light is being filtered out, but still, UV light can be really hurtful for our not only eyes but also skin and basically the whole organisms. So when you wear glasses with UV filter, that means you filter out that part of the spectrum, and that protects your eyes. Of course, don't stare at the sun because basically the intensity of light that is coming from this burning nuclear reactor is so huge that it can instantly damage your eyes and basically burn out your sensory cells. Guys, pay attention to good lighting of the room. So if you spend your evenings reading a book in a very poorly lit room, you're basically abusing your eyes. The same thing happens when you use computer or any screen devices in poorly lit conditions. Guys, you have to relax your eyes from time to time. That means when you spend hours staring into the computer monitor or just reading a book, something like this, from time to time just take a break and look further because when you focus your vision on an object that is close to you, then your lens in your eyes are constantly under some stress, and basically long stress is not good for them. Over time, you might lose the ability to uh, you might lose the ability of eye accommodation. Another thing, don't avoid wearing glasses when needed. If you have a problem with vision and the doctor told you you should be wearing glasses, then do this. We have many alternatives right now. They don't have to be glasses. They might be uh, contact lenses, but still wearing them not only helps you to function because you can clearly see objects around you, so you don't have the feeling of discomfort, but also it prevents the defect of vision to deepen. So if your vision is constantly getting worse and worse, once you start wearing the glasses on daily basis, then you lower down the risk of the defect going bigger and bigger. And guys, good practice also is maybe not exactly related to eyes themselves, but to the fact that electronic devices they emit a lot of blue parts of light, and that blue light is a natural waking up mechanism. So when our eyes perceive some a bigger amount of blue light, our bodies will start to wake up. It affects the hormonal system. So some of the operating systems have now implemented solutions like making the screen a little bit more yellow in the evening after the sunset. This is called the blue light filters, and basically what they do is they make the tint of the image a little bit more yellowish, which makes it more pleasant to the eye and also affects the hormonal system. When you don't have a dose of that blue light, then your brain is able to freely release melatonin, which is the hormone of sleep, so you will sleep better. And guys, let's talk about some more diseases in this case. And the first disease is conjunctivitis. Po polsku zapalenie spojówek. Guys, happens when a pathogen isn't wiped out from the conjunctive surface. Conjunctive is the membrane that covers the eyeball. To avoid it, you should basically wash your hands and avoid touching the eye area. So no itching, no scrubbing, just keep your hands off your face. This is like the best way of preventing many diseases, including conjunctivitis. This is a really bad disease. It happens with itch, it happens with pain, and basically your eyeball will hurt when you are looking at something that is bright. This is cured with medicines. Another disease is sty, po polsku jęczmień. It happens when bacteria infects one of the glands that can be found in the eyelid rim. It appears with pain, itch, and teary eye, and it needs visiting a doctor. If you keep just ignoring the sty that has grown on your eyelid, basically it's in a form of a tiny grain growing on one of your eyelids, it might lead to losing the vision if you keep ignoring this, but it's very difficult to ignore it because it's huge and it's painful and it releases some really gross fluids onto your eyeball. So basically, you need to contact the doctor and take some antibiotics for this. Another disease, very dangerous one, is glaucoma. Po polsku jaskra. It's caused by the destruction of the vision nerve due to too high or too low pressure of the vitreous fluid. Vitreous fluid is the fluid that fills the inside of the eyeball. It's clear, it's made out of water, but if something is made out of water, that means that it is prone to pressure changes. And its symptom is basically gradual narrowing of the area of sight. And on page 206, you basically have a simulation of what the world looks like when the glaucoma just grows and grows. To cure it, you basically have to take medicines that will lower down the internal eye pressure, and sometimes a surgery is needed. The best way to avoid it is basically paying attention to good lighting of your workplace. So the thing that I mentioned in here. And also diet is important. Diet is important in the meaning of eating enough products with vitamins A and E, which basically support vision. Another disease is cataract. Zaćma. In the world, this is the biggest cause of blindness. Over time, the lens in the eye gets cloudy instead of being crystal clear. Sometimes it might also be caused by diabetes and medicines you take to cure diabetes. The things that you see start to appear blurry. The pupil changes color from black to gray because the lens is getting blurry and it starts to reflect the light. There is only one way of curing this, and it's basically the surgical replacement of the used lens. So they just cut out your eyeball. Cut out. They cut your eyeball. They take out the used lens and they replace it with an artificial one. This is a really simple surgery that is commonly done, and it helps millions of people to regain the sight. Basically, there is no way of avoiding it, but if you keep visiting your doctor, examining the vision from time to time, you will be able to catch the moment where it begins, and from this you can start to think about curing this. And guys, this is about the eye. Now let's move on to hearing. The worst thing that can happen to your ears is basically noise. And noise is present in your classroom constantly. Like, seriously, I go into your classroom and there is one big noise. Guys, the strength of noise is measured in decibels. And now let's take a look into some numbers. The usual acoustic background of a quiet room is around 30 decibels. A normal conversation is around 50 decibels. Guys, be careful with the headphones because the intensity of the sound can hit even 100 decibels. And guys, long exposure to such loud noises is destructive to sensory cells. The sensory cells that are present in cochlea, basically they just rip apart and stop perceiving the sound stimuli. And when all of them are destroyed, this state is called deafness. Loud noise, such an explosion or a plane taking off, can not only damage your hearing, but also your semicircular ducts, thus impairing the balance sense. And guys, the after the sound exceeds 130 decibels, you start to feel pain, physical pain. Long exposure to those sounds is really dangerous for your hearing. Uh, Another thing that you have to pay attention when taking care of your eyes is be careful when cleaning your ears. You shouldn't be using those cotton buds to clean your ears because when you do, uh, you might push the waxy cuticle that is inside this earwax, into the acoustic meatus. And basically, it might form a clog that will limit the access of sounds into directly to the tympanic membrane. And there is also the possibility that you stick it a little bit too far and then you destroy the tympanic membrane. If you destroy it, then it stops working and you might lose either partially or totally your hearing. If you want to clean your ears, it's safer to use oil-based ear sprays that chemically dissolve wax clogs because oil dissolves wax. Another common infectious disease, especially in the flu season, is ear inflammation. It's caused by viruses that basically can, the infection might start from the upper respiratory duct and then it can spread either to bronchi or it can spread to ear. And this is a really painful thing to have because basically your head is about to explode. Okay, guys, so for today, this is it. Please remember, especially the myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, and other diseases like squint or color blindness. I want you to be able to tell some good practices how to deal with your vision, and I want you to know those diseases, especially these two, because they are the most dangerous. This is really common and it happens all the time. And this not that common, but still, please wash your hands. Like, for God's sake, just do it. Okay, guys, so this is it for now. Just stay home and please don't avoid uh, watching my podcasts on Wednesdays and Fridays. See ya.